Hello and welcome. If you're wondering what this is here, this is Time to Micro by Azamk and Kaiser Klein. I'm going to be discussing today in-depth micro strategies, tactics such as pull tricking, line versus column formations, groupings, kiting, drag boxing, and other things along the way, from the basics to the advanced. What to target, split fire, attack move, direct fire, things of that nature, and when each scenario is appropriate. I will leave a description or a link in the description below to this scenario editor, but essentially what it is you get the same amount of units as your opponent, and you can play against friends or other people online or the AI, and you can practice your micro. And the goal is to kill the other person's units with your units and have more at the end. And whoever has the zero loses. And that's pretty much the whole point. And so it just teaches you like good micro principles and yeah, how to go about playing the game in a way that will make it more advantageous to your abilities to get better at micro. Now, I mean, the PC is really bad at this. And honestly, you could just like mostly kite the units since they don't really, do much. But that's pretty much the scenario editor. But before I could like go in there and just read the rest of the units, I wanted to discuss a few things. So heavy cav, micro is very important. The role of cavalry is more than just killing skirmishers and artillery. It is very important. It baits out anti-cav. It baits out just damage. It just tanks for you, so your real DPS units can survive longer and deal out more damage. Snaring is also a very important concept. So some things about heavy cav, right? So say for example, notice how I'm clicking and the units are changing their formation, right? So they are currently right here in this line formation. If I wanted them to head into a column headed down south, I would click very far away. So you see how they're going in a line? Now column. Line, column, line. So the reason that this is important is if I click far away from their current destination, they will go into this line or column, depending on the way you're facing. They go back into a line. The line really just references if all three units are next to each other versus if one is in front, right? So as you notice, if I click far away, one Huss will speed up faster than the other ones. So this allows you to escape snaring, and it also allows you to get to targets more quickly. And only the front Huss usually, like if they attack move and like say they're lined up like this, right? This one will take the damage, and then these two will be higher HP, and then when they get to their final formation, then these two will pull up. So if, say these Jans are snaring my Huss, and my Huss are raiding into a base, I'll click far away to break the snare, click back closer so they go back into a line, because when you go from column to line, the back two will speed up to catch up to the front one, and the front one already sped up to get in front of these two. So very important to know. I use it every game when I'm raiding. Do this, then this, then this, then this, and it'll break your snare completely, and you'll be able to escape from the enemy. Now, if you're wondering in this formation, how should I do my control groups? A lot of people, they'll do control groups on buildings or other things. I use hotkeys for my buildings, like my town center, my racks, and my stable and artillery foundry. So I like to group my units as such. So I usually do my heavy cav, whatever my cav units are. So like say it's in the Musk Huss, like with some Abus. I'll do Abus at 2, Jans at 1, and Huss at 3, heavy cav at 3. And just really get something that you're used to using and instantly can recognize. So when you're in battle, you can be like, I want to move this here, or this here, or that, so that you never misclick. and that you'll have complete control of your units. Other thing to note, so along with the directional line and column, is if I move these Jans that are in this sort of column and I move them south towards here, they will move into this line formation wherever I click. So if it's to the right, they'll line up to the right like this. If I want them to go up here, they're going to line up like this, for example. Again, I can change that with my line column, and then you see this button here, stop, and they will stay in column. They will stay in this column formation, versus when they get closer, as they get closer, they go back into line. But if I stop, right, they will stay in the formation that they're in. For example, they're in line, column, bam, stop. Now, when you're approaching the enemy with this composition, you want to keep your Huss and your Jans together. The reason you want to do this is so that if the opponent has his Jans and or he has Huss, he won't just readily charge your Hussars. Why? Because you have Jans, and they'll be able to counter. You want to lead with your Abus, because they will be the first ones to either take out the enemy Abus or the enemy Jans, so that you will have the advantage in the anti-cavalry fight and then the cavalry fight. Rule of thumb, if you can take out Abus first, go for it. But if the Abus are able to take out a Janissary, then you want to take out a Janissary, because then your Huss can crash in, and they can then kill the enemy Abus, which is the biggest problem for your Jans right now. So in every team fight, you want to know your win condition. Your win condition is to keep your Huss alive and your Abus alive. These are just your support units. If you lose all of your Jans, but you have Huss and Abus left, then you'll win the fight. If they have no Jans, but they they just have Huss, right? So for example, right? I'll move these two together. Now, if he moves his Huss forward, you want your Huss to tank, so I can use line column formation to cut off the formation here. Now, I'm going to do split fire, where I use only a couple of Abus to fight the Jans. And now I'm going to drag box, so my Abus go to the back, Jans go in the front, killing his Abus, or his Jans. Now I have, just a couple of Huss and more numbers, and basically win this team fight. So the line column formation is also good for intercepting units, because in that situation, when he crashed his Huss in, I'm able to crash mine in front, body block my Abus. Alright, now this is a classic German composition: Ulan, bow, pike. But again, your Ulans and your pikes together. If he goes after your... So if he tries to bait you with his Ulans, like if his Ulans, say these Ulans here are the enemy Ulans, and they're coming in, you don't have to worry about that, because you have your pikes here and your Ulans here. Now, in the first scenario, I did something that I didn't explain that I will now. Drag boxing. So drag boxing micro is very, very basic, but it is incredibly powerful. So if you notice, if I walk somewhere, all of my units line up in a certain formation. So if we go from left to right, we have the Ulans in the front, the pikes in the middle, and the Expos in the back. If I wanted to say, for example, bring my crossbows up to the front here, so say I'm walking like this, and he has pikes in the front, and I want to eliminate them quickly, I will click this way to the right, and my Expos will go to the back, but in this case the front. Then they can snipe, and so forth. Another example of this, say we have no Ulans. Our Expos are just sitting back, or sitting on the front, they're dealing damage. Enemy has Cav. Cav incoming. You can drag box, and your pikes will sprint forward to the front, instead of trying to move them through like this. Because if you see, if I click here, they'll try and walk around, and it takes time. There's pathing issues. But drag box, run to the front, and then say he brings his, say these Ulans are here, they're coming in, they're coming in, they're coming in. pikes to the front. If he brings his Ulans back, just go right back with your pikes so that these don't get sniped down. Because if these die, then your Expos die. Ulans are good for, like, your cavalry is like to bait. So like in this situation, I might run in with my Ulans, try and bait out his cross or his pikes, and then I shoot down his pikes with my crossbows. Now you might notice here there's some advanced formation items here. Defend mode, stand your ground, cover mode, and default melee mode. Really, you're only going to use these two, right? So cover mode is good. If you notice, I have 50% extra range resistance and 50% artillery resistance, but my melee is in half. So, say he's baiting with his Ulans, and I drag box my pikes into formation. He runs back. I'm gonna throw these into cover mode. If my pikes are getting shot at by his Expos, instead of having them die, I'll neutralize the multiplier to heavy infantry by throwing these into cover mode, and then drag box them backwards. The problem with this, though, is if the other person is paying attention and notices the difference. So you see how their spears go up in cover mode and they drop, and they also kind of like walk in this like tight like circular formation, versus here they'll just like column. So if the enemy pays attention and they see cover mode, just dive your Ulans in. What are they going to do? 20 damage? That's going to not do enough. But at the same time, if you counter and pay attention to him crashing in, melee mode, right back. So it's really important. I like how hotkeys on this, because every couple of seconds in these split-second decisions really matters, and it's important. So say, for example, you're on the other side, and you see he has his pikes out, you've baited with your Ulans, and he brings his pikes to the front line, and they're in cover mode. Don't shoot them. Just don't shoot the pikes. If you do, you're wasting a volley. You're only going to do, 20 damage at... No, it's you're only going to do 10 damage, because he has 50% range resistance. Or you could do, 13 damage to an enemy Expo. So you have to keep these things in consideration when going into cover mode, and when to use it, when not to use it. But it can save your pikes if they're like way out of position and Expos are just sniping them down. You can just throw them in cover mode and then have support come back. Alright, so we've gone over Expo Pike, we've gone over Musk, Skirm, and Musk Huss to an extent. Now we have Skirm Goon. This is a classic French composition. I'm just going to make my control groups real quick. Now, if you have no Huss in this instance, and you just have Skirm Goon, you're going to want to line up like this, so that if any Huss, say these Huss here are enemy Huss, you want to back up and just kite. The reason is what you don't want to do, and I've done this a lot, it's a mistake, is that you'll panic. Like, say these Huss are crashing in, right? And they're in melee mode right now. They're just fighting your skirms. You do not want to drag box your goons to the front. What you want to do is you want to attack move with your what do you call it? Yeah, so this is the attack move, or they call it Z move because it's Z, and you can do it. I have it as a different keybind. But you want to attack move, or you split fire to maximize your damage and not overkill. So it takes 5 goons to kill 1 Huss. And as you notice, we have 10. So if I split them evenly, I can get 2 kills, versus just right-clicking 1 and overkilling it and wasting 3 seconds of charged attack time, and not utilizing my time efficiently. So if I split fire, bang bang, 2 are dead, back up. Skirms, same thing. Skirms, so his skirms will be chasing, right? You shoot their skirms, back up, shoot and scoot. So you want to kite this out eventually, and then these will all die. Your goons will be safe, and your skirms, many of them will die, but you will have your more expensive units survive. Because look, 90 food, 90 coin, 50 food, 65 coin. you want to prioritize keeping your more expensive units alive. Scrims are replaceable, goons are not as replaceable. And in a war of attrition in a real game, you want to really maximize, anti-raid, your more versatile units, and your goons are definitely your more versatile units. So now in the full composition, the full picture, we have Huss, Goon, and Skirms. We're going to walk forward like this, so that if his Huss try and challenge my Huss, that's fine. I have Goons behind it. If his Huss are not accompanied by Goons, then we know he's just trying to posture and bait out our Goons to make a mistake and move out of position. And he's trying to also buy space and push our skirms back. But really, if we just hold our ground, then our Huss can intervene. We can line here, stop, attack, move, and they will fight in this body block, and then our goons can just kill the enemy Huss. We'll have extra Huss. We can retreat with these or crash onto the skirms, and then it's GG. So we'll walk through this as if we're playing it, just to show an example. All right. Priority number 1, if you can, kill goons with your skirms. I'm going to split fire here to not overkill, but as you can see, I didn't get a kill. So we now have a low HP goon and 2 low HP goons. Since this one's low HP, we can efficiently use our resources. And now you see, realistically, the computer should be running in with all of its units, but it's not. So something else to note. So we're just going to kill all these goons, and I'm going to show the skirm comparison real quick. So split fire, back up because I have no cooldown, and then a single attack, right? And so forth. Other thing is you want to make sure that you're approaching in a line, or in this instance, in a line formation, because if you're approaching in, say, like a column, like say you're approaching like this, your range, these skirms won't be in range of the units up here. So for example, the box ends here. Meanwhile, this one is over here. So there's this entire distance where these skirms are combat ineffective. So be cognizant of the pathing. Like if there's a coin mine here and your enemy is up here, you might want to consider walking around the mine in a position so that all of your skirms are in a straight line like this, and they can all be shooting at the same time. It's very important. Now, in Skirm v Skirm, if you don't have the critical mass to one hit another Skirm, you're just going to right click. You're not going to attack move. You're not going to split fire. You're just going to right click. The way you can tell if you're in range or not, so for example here, where is it? Like just past this circle, these skirms are in range and can shoot. So these are in range, and I'm just going to shoot one at a time. And then you may also want to spread your skirms out and move them forward so that they're all standing there, instead of, as you noticed, some are in the back and that not all of them are in the front, and you won't have as efficient of a firing line. So even just manipulating a couple like this, now all of these skirms are going to be shooting at the same time at an effective range. They're spread out nice and thin and can all fire. Alright, one of the most important things in the game, because they can just be so decisive, like early game battles aren't as decisive per se unless you're getting rushed, but artillery in the mid to late game is just so important. This is probably the most important micro, alright? So again, cav, anti-cav grouped up. Skirms covering the flanks. Falconets moving forward. Now, if say the enemy base is right here, what you want to do is unlimber. Why? Because say for example the enemy base is over here. My effective range is here. If I start walking over, unlimbering, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds go by before I can shoot. That is enough time to get an extra volley off. It's 4 seconds to reload. So in that time, they could have shot my falconets. I could have lost one. I'll get one shot off, only do half damage to one. And then by the time I'm done, they'll be shooting again. and I'll have lost both falconets, and the game is over. I'll lose all of these units. He can keep his rods on his falcons because there's nothing to just because in this situation, if both of us have our falconets, you can't just drag box and like body block with your rods, because then if I shoot the falc, that'll also kill some of the rods, right? The win condition is destroying the falcs at all costs. So in this situation, you honestly can just run your Huss and have them tank a falconet shot, and then have your falcs walk up behind the Huss and then shoot, and then retreat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn around, shoot, turn around. 1, 2, 3, 4. So kiting with artillery is important. Another thing to note. So say there's like an impediment, like a coin mine or a couple of trees, path around them, because if your artillery gets bunched up like this, you can lose both in one shot, and that's something you never want to see happen. It can and it does happen, so you just have to be very cautious with these. Baby these as much as possible. You want to make sure your falcs are not shooting like any infantry or Huss. I mean, if they're free and like you have line of sight and his falcs are like just not there or in distance, then sure, you can get a free shot off. That's never a bad thing. But it's, again, you have 4 seconds before the next shot can occur. So you want to just constantly spam, like, right click here. This range button is, I've turned this on in my settings where I show unit range. So if anything gets in here, these will automatically shoot. So you want to constantly move them forward and baby them so that they don't attack. Unless you tell them to, because if they do attack, then you might lose the artillery battle. It literally just takes 1 second. So we're going to walk these up as close as possible. Walk them up, walk them up. Now they're in range. We're going to right-click the falconet, back up. Rods are coming in. We're going to shoot the rods. Pull trick. Going to body block. We lost the falconet. We just want to kill his Huss now. The win condition is keeping our falconets alive and having our cav kill his cav. We have a couple of rods Huss left and a falc. I'm going to keep walking this up. Full HP falc. Now, something to note, if you notice, you can shoot before the range. Oh, that was bad. Before the range of your falcs, there's like a range button. So now I'm breaking through this formation using line column. I still have Huss, so this is a win. But that was pretty bad artillery micro by me, to be honest. Now we can split fire or attack move, since these are all low HP. We have 2 Huss left, and that's the game. Alright. But those are the fundamentals. Those are things that you really want to keep in mind. And as you probably noticed, everything moves as quickly as possible. Lots of high actions per minute, and a lot of thought goes into this. One final tip that I'll leave you with is, if you're playing Germany, this is kind of cool. I was playing I Am Turk the other day, and I did this to him, and it was kind of satisfying. Still lost, but so I like hid my dops in, right, and I was walking forward with my expos. We were just trading with expos, and I did a pull trick or drag box, and got my Ulans or my dops onto his expos and pikes, and got like a quad kill in one swing, and then I drag boxed these to the back and then ran away. But he's also a god, so he just destroyed me after. But just things to think about. So we've gone over line, column, drag boxing, pole tricking. Pole tricking is a good one to go over. So pole tricking is where, say for example, you have villagers, anything really, that is out of position, or artillery, and you're trying to speed up, get across the battlefield as quickly as possible. Or say your expos are being chased by like say you only have like 2 expos, right? And you have dops. These are 4.5 speed. So pole tricking is a concept where you have more units dragging these smaller number of units in closer, and these will run to them. So the way you do this is, like, say for example the dops are over here, and my expos are here. I'm going to drag and cover my dops have them walk over here, and then I'm going to drag a larger box over to cover the dops and the expos, and then click to the destination that I clicked to, and these will run in. So I'll show you. Here, here, click. You see how they're running now? Very important. So you can abuse this and cover a significant amount of ground with slower units. So, for example, right, if I rinse and repeat this process, you see how the expos are constantly running and they've covered so much more ground. They ran this entire distance versus just walking from here to there. You can do this, like say I have these two expos, right, and I want them to catch up to my Ulans. So like, let's go the other way now. So we have Ulans, expos, and they're just running up to them the whole way. And they're running almost as fast as Cav, right? They caught up to the cavalry, right? So that's a really cool trick. It's important if you have a group of like 4 villager or like 5 vills, and you have like this one vill that's like birding or something, and you see Cav running in, you can do the same thing, and your expos would hopefully. Now the thing is like they can't be too far away, because if they're too far away, the pull trick doesn't work. But it can work, and it can save like a couple of villagers or units that are just isolated for one reason or another. So those are some tricks and tips on microing drag box, line column, pull tricking, select fire, or attack move, direct fire, formations, grouping, baiting, posturing, and kiting. I hope this helps. If you have any other things that you think I missed, please let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.